annexation. Nobody wants it. Everybody wants it, but they don't want it in their backyard. Well, the state of Florida wants to mess stuff out as well. You know, because expansion and growth impacts, all that's going to be the revenues 20 years down the road, when all these houses get sold or whatever else, or if they get sold in one day. You know, it's not going to cost us anything to forge what the developer's trying to do and all of that. So that's my opinion on that. But we just have to look at what's going on right now. And I think the impact of what's, we talk about the existing residents in the city line road. I think that when development comes somewhere else, the entire city will benefit from annexation of one part or another.
Do we have any more questions of him? Because the council will get the discussion part once we move down the project, because we want to hear from the public. So any more questions?
I wanted to ask you, you've got, I think the slide showed $4,995 potential taxes.
Yes.
Okay, but that's not to the city. That's not all to the city, because you have county, school board.
That's correct. So
Plus,
it's
did
just,
that,
yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, and then you have also the homestead exemption, which the legislature is now considering increasing that too. So that what would be, I'm just asking, it looks like $5,000 to the city, that was good, but it's really not.
So, yeah, so that was based on a $250,000 appraised value of the home, okay? And that was on the City of Live Oak millage rate, so you can do a millage rate calculator off of the tax collector's office. Now, I do not know who gets dispersed those funds directly.
What's that?
I don't know who gets dispersed the tax funds.
Well, we have the tax property appraiser over here.
How many houses were you basing it off of?
We ran on 400.
400.
So,
But the $49.95 is not to the city. That.
it's a tax, property tax.
I know, but the city only gets a part of that. The city does not get the 5,000. County gets a certain amount, school board gets a certain amount, one of our water management district gets a little bit.
However,
And then it's just the city.
one. Yes, sir.
That's why I say the property appraiser here may be, that's just because it looks,
Well, if you got 250, what's your base, what city base?
400.
I mean, 250,000,
Yeah.
and you got 400 homes.
Probably come to the max.
Yeah, maybe,
Mike?
are you signed up, Mr. Cameron?
I'm not, but I'm not speaking on it. I mean, I can answer questions as property appraiser.
Well, I know, I didn't mean to insert and
No, no,
get the sidetrack. I just had a question for him about that. I just wanted to clarify that because it looked like $5,000 to the city for each home.
At $250,000 at 400 homes at a 25 mil, which I think currently we're at like 24.93, something like that. You're looking at 2.5 million. That's not the 4 million that was up there. And that's going to be dispersed amongst the county, the city, the water management, and the school board. That is not taken into consideration, at least my numbers just did not, homestead, portability. And what portability is, for people that don't know, I live in South Florida or anywhere in the state of Florida, and I have a home that this market value is $500,000, but my assessed value, I mean taxed on, is $250,000. And I decide to sell in South Florida and move to Suwannee County and buy a $500,000 house. You can only tax me at $250,000. Plus then I get to file for the homestead exemption, which is another $50,000. It's going to drop my taxable value on this $500,000 house to $200,000. So you got the portability. You got all the exemptions that go with it. The veteran exemption, 100%. They don't pay taxes. So to stand up here and tell you that I can tell you exactly what this development is going to bring in tax-wise, there's not a person in this building that can. That's the reason why we don't give tax estimates when somebody calls us and asks us, hey, we're building this much house, what's it going to cost us? There's a tax estimator on the website that you can use, but barring what exemptions you bring, what portability you bring, I can't tell you what your tax bill is going to be.
I'm sorry, I just wanted the council to be clear that you're not getting $5,000.
We understand.
That's my only question.
And just to touch base on that, you know, we were looking at $250,000 assessed value assessed value after, with including homestead exemption, okay? It was $2.5 million on the property taxes, and the rest was revenue from impact fees as well as revenue from utilities. So that was like an overall cost that we were talking about, okay? Don't want to say that, all those go to the city. We're just saying, look, if we develop this property, we're looking at $5,000 per home in property taxes going into the community of Swanee County, Live Oak.
Yeah, but he just said it's not going to be, and you can't determine.
I can't
That was
determine.
just wanting to clarify because it was a little misleading.
Yeah, it's just an estimate.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but I mean, I think it's a good planning estimate. I would like to say that.
Yes.
I will say in his defense that that is an estimate on max value, but there's no way that anybody could give you the numbers on what somebody's going to personally bring with them as far as extensions go. There's no way to do that. But I can tell you from being in the office every day that they're coming in right now with a lot of high affordability from South Florida. A lot of people buying high dollar houses that ain't paying near the taxes you're thinking if you're paying, because they're getting that high affordability from buying low market in South Florida and now selling at high market and moving north.
Ready for the vote?
Yes.
One more comment. Yeah, we weren't trying, he's absolutely right. We weren't trying to say, here's the exact number you're gonna get. Nobody could ever tell you that. We're just trying to give it an overall estimate of the economic impact that will go back in the community. Again, we don't know exactly what it is, but based on the current impact fees, based on what we expect the assessed value will be, that will be the grenade approach, so to speak, for that.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll open up. We'll open this up to the public comment. I think the first person is Jeff Bradford. Just to remind you that we have 3 minutes for each comment.
Jeff Bradford, 619 2nd Street. I'm not for or against this project. When you vote, don't vote based on what your friend told you that they don't want somebody living next to you. No matter where you go in this city, you're going to step on toes, and there's going to be people that don't want this in their backyard. Look at the traffic assessment, look at the traffic patterns, look at if you do this, people have said do it on the north side of town, do it on the north side of town. Do we have any roadways that will support the traffic from 500 houses from the north side of town to the south side of town? You're going to impact the perimeter road, you're going to impact 129, you're going to impact Walker, you're going to impact every road that goes around the city because people are going to try to get out of 129. I live out in the country. I come to town every morning, and at 8 o'clock, the roundabout is a horrible nightmare to deal with, okay? No matter where you put this, you're going to create a traffic problem. You talked about wanting to have affordable homes. By not allowing development to come in to our city, you're going to increase the price of everything that's available in the real estate market because there is no supply of houses that are readily available. We're building houses. So for me to say that I want someone else to come in and build houses, there's a high demand for houses. People come here every day from Jacksonville, from McClenny, from Ocala, Orlando, and look at our houses. And we're building houses that we consider affordable. In any other area of town, they would be $250,000 to $300,000. In Lake City, those same houses would be $275,000 to $325,000 houses. Because there's such a shortage of inventory, and people want larger lots, not inside of town. Like I said, no matter where you do it, you're going to step on people's toes. The utility bills in the city of Live Oak are, I can tell you because I pay 2 utility bills in Live Oak at $150 a house with no one living in one of them because I'm doing renovations on it. So just that revenue coming into the city is something that's more than $4,500 a year. When you start looking at all the other things that come in, you're going to have to increase the support, more police officers, more garbage trucks. That's how we grow. That's how you grow a community. You have to put rooftops, put people in those rooftops, draw businesses in, increase the tax base, and keep going. Like I said, I'm not saying this is the right area for it, but don't let the not in my backyards and the people that come up here and just don't want it because they don't want it next to them. It's gonna happen. do it in a responsible manner, do it in a manner that you don't worry about what someone's making off of them, who can afford to live in them. We need to build these houses for people to come here, whether it's here or someplace else, but come up with a plan to grow our city, and let's not keep our heads in the sand and keep our community burdened with poverty and no place for people to live, people living in sheds. So, thank you for your time.
Right.
Okay, the second person is Suzanne Bass.
To the honored city council people, I'm Suzanne Bass. I appreciate a few moments to introduce myself and tell you who I am. Elizabeth and I, Elizabeth is my sister. Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
We are the current owners of the property, but before I share those items with you, I want to say that I grew up in Live Oak. I graduated from Swanee High, so did my sister. My daddy was a farmer veterinarian. My mother taught school, then she became superintendent of schools. I'm the last. There were 4 of us. I'm the last. I was one of those mistake babies, you know. So Andy and Elizabeth are older than I am, but you may remember my brother Lundy, he had the gun shop. Of course, we lost Lundy. Anyway, I wanted you folks to know us. I grew up on that property. My daddy donated the road for Bass Road many, many years ago. My mother had the most beautiful yard, camellias, azaleas. It was on fire. But you know, we lost our parents and we get older and time goes on. That property, we loved that property. It looks the way it looks now because we could never get a prescribed burn. So now it's just grown up and it's vines and weeds. It is still a beautiful piece of property. Of course, we'd like to keep it the way it is or was, but that's just not possible. The property got changed in the manner that it did. You know, when my parents died, the inheritance piece, Andy, my older brother, he took his portion mostly at my daddy's farm, which is further south of town. I just want to say hello. I want you to know who we are. We're just like you. We are you. I love this town. I pay taxes in this town. Coming here tonight, my husband Fred and I, we took the sideway around town because I remembered how to do it. You know, you go by the city pool and then go off there and turn right. So I believe this is a win-win for Swanee County. You get people in the south side of town, you're going to get another Publix, then you're going to get a barbecue restaurant. But growth has to take place, and that's a good artery there that needs attention. But really and truly, Swanee County is a great place. I live in Jacksonville. I ran for circuit judge in 2012, so I currently serve in the 4th Judicial Circuit. I'm going to retire this year. I'm kind of happy to say that. So I appreciate your time and letting me introduce myself. Adam is my second cousin. His grandmother was my daddy's sister, Aunt May. Anyway, thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Elizabeth, did you want to introduce yourself?
If I may.
Well, they told me you shouldn't take much time, but this is Elizabeth Bolton. She lives
I'm not
in...
going to cover the same thing that Suzanne did, but I'll be very fast, okay? The thing that I want to address is that before we ever put this property up for sale, is we thought long and hard about doing that, okay? And we had a number of opportunities that came along, and we rejected some of those opportunities. The reason we thought this was a good thing is because the alternatives were not so good, okay? That you, and I'm not going to go over all of the details that they have already been described, but this is as much for the audience here as it is for you people that are going to vote on whether to annex this property. That this development, if it doesn't go through, then then there are probably not gonna be a lot of other developers that are gonna want to come and do anything with that piece of property. So it's right on the edge of the city limit, as you know. It's about 144 acres, and it has all the amenities. It's close to everything that's important. It's close to schools and hospitals and roads and that sort of thing. So this seemed to us like, hey, this is an opportunity to do something that is good and appropriate for the community, okay? And it will allow us to sell the property. And we are gonna sell the property. There's no way that we can keep paying the expenses that we have to pay to hang on to the property. So we are gonna sell it, and we thought, this is the best, because the alternatives are not so good, at least the alternatives that we came up with. And Adam has heard some of this because we visited his house on Sunday to talk to his family, because we thought that was important to do, okay? And so the alternatives that we came up with were, okay, could be manufacturing. Well, there's probably not going to be manufacturing there because of the size of the lot, wouldn't take it all, and because there's not a labor force here for that, okay? And then there could be maybe some kind of processing plant or something like that on institutions like churches or large schools. And so let your mind wander about what's out there and what those kinds of things might be. Or a 501(c)(3), and if you know anything about nonprofit organizations, some of them have fantastic names, but they're not what the name sounds like. So let your mind wander and think about what some of those alternatives might be. So, you know, that was kind of risky, and we didn't want to think about some of those because some of them have big amounts of government money behind them, and you don't control it after the government puts their money in those things. So we thought, this is good for the community, and we thought it was the right thing to do for all of those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Okay, Jay Goldman,
I'm gonna pass.
you're gonna pass? Adam Collins? Just state your name and
Okay, Adam
address.
Collins, 206 Duval Street Northwest.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, everybody's here heard what I've had to say, and, you know, I think it's a good point. I spoke with my cousins. I mean, they came to my parents' house on Sunday, and we talked it out. That's what people do. We have discussions. That's why we have this forum, to discuss things as a community. And to have that freedom is a blessing. And we had a cordial conversation. I presented some ideas, some alternatives, because, yes, let's just start at the beginning, okay? So the annexation does not approve the development. Yes, that's understood. But if the development is already supposed to be a 457 home community, and if you're annexing it based on that knowledge, then you're in essence approving that by proxy. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why the annexation is important. Now, you can put 100 homes on it now with zone RSF1 in the county. Maybe hold out a little 10-acre piece for 8 unit per acre multifamily later when you annex the whole thing. Maybe put an on-site sewer collection system that could be a lift station pumped into the city one day. I mean, there's things that could be done before an annexation to keep it at the lower density it is now and see what happens. If people fill it up quick, it's like, oh man, people really do want to come here and buy these 1-acre lots and build $400,000 houses or whatever they are. Fine. But the annexation is a little bit putting the cart before the horse. That's my concern on it. And then the traffic, I understand Mr. Jones' traffic study, and it's clear numbers, and they are conservative. You always take a conservative approach in engineering because who knows what could happen, right? But we're only analyzing one aspect of it. Yes, 129 can take a lot of traffic, but Bass Road can't. Walker Street cannot take a lot of traffic. Those 3 school zones are already packed. So like Mr. Bradford said, yes, Live Oak is going to grow. It's a wet county now. We have, more business coming in. A Chick-fil-A is coming in. I mean, it's growing, we want it to grow. Nobody wants to stay stagnant. What happens then? The community dies. You have to have families having children. You have to grow. We have to replace ourselves. That's understandable. But can we do it in a more spread out way? Do we concentrate all this growth just real quick in this one spot and overload an area? Or do we let it happen more organically? 10-acre subdivisions here, 20-acre ones here. Let it happen a little organically out in the county, then start, let it happen as it comes, not to just aggressively localize it in one spot. I believe that's short-sighted and very just irresponsible growth. Everybody wants to grow, but let's do it responsibly. Everybody thought about responsible growth here. Nobody is against development. I want them to sell the property. If I had it and I didn't live here and it was mine and I could make whatever, a couple million, I don't know what it's going to sell for, I might do it. But I'm different though. I want to keep it and hunt on it. My father has property. Their brother Andy has a couple thousand contiguous acres that he hunts on. My father has property that we like to keep in. So I don't think it should happen now. So vote accordingly.
Thank you, sir. Malcolm Hines?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Malcolm Hines, 118 and 133rd Road here in Live Oak. So I just wanted to talk just from the perspective of where we are at the school district and just kind of bring up some things. So some of the things that we've heard about the property and all this, starting out, mobile homes and all of that kind of stuff. And so that gave us some pause and some angst about all of that. But listening to the presentation tonight, listening to the Bassers talk about the property was impressive. And so we have a little clear understanding of it. So I'll read to you some notes that I prepared for this evening. The proposed housing construction placement on the property south of several schools in Live Oak presents a great opportunity for Suwannee County. From our understanding, several factors could impact the schools in Live Oak. First, an increase in local population immediately south of a K-5 elementary school, because that Pineview butts up to that property. As of this moment, we don't know how to address any school safety issues or what those issues are. Second, we could see a moderate increase in student stations, associated issues with student stations, such as teachers and transportation. Third, based on the type of housing, this project could create issues that could have a forever impact on our schools. So the clarification tonight, I certainly appreciate the presentation because it gives us a better idea of what we're looking at. While the school district isn't the decision maker,